Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome officially to the channel. This is a series where we look at various different oddities in gaming that developers either made to help the player get more into the game visually or physically. Most have had influences on games and designs years past when they were active, and today, well, I'm not really so sure, but it's too cool not to talk about. So let's dig in and talk about the Stunt Cycle home console by Atari. Now, before we get into the home console, let's talk a little bit about Stunt Cycle itself. You see, this was an arcade game that was designed with the intent of taking advantage of the popularity of Evel Knievel. This could support 1 or 2 players who would race down the track on a motorcycle with the intent of making a jump at the bottom of the screen. Too much speed and you would pop a wheelie and start to lose speed or risk flipping backwards and being unable to land the jump. Too little speed and you would just flop down on top of the buses and not make the jump. Each time the player successfully made a jump, they would gain a point. The stand-up machine could support, as I said, 2 players, with one player being white and the other player being black, taking turns at the cabinet doing their part of the race. This was unique in the fact that it had a motorcycle-shaped arcade stick that the player would use to navigate their character, which seems odd for a 2-dimensional racing game, but it looked cool at least. This dropped in 1976 to a solid amount of popularity. Popularity in part due to Evel Knievel himself, who was a stuntman at the time. So, Atari took a look at bringing it to the home console in the form much like they did Pong. To that end, they began to quickly work on a way to do just that. It didn't take long either, because just 1 year after the release of the arcade game, in 1977, Atari would release Stunt Cycle, the home console. This was a simple rectangular unit with a raised section that had motorcycle grips, along with several switches and buttons along the bottom. Much like Pong machines, it just plugged right into your TV. This was in almost every way an upgrade to the original arcade game, because this version came not only with the original game, but 3 variants as well: Motocross, Enduro, and Drag Race. The handlebar grips would allow you to whip the bike around, do a wheelie, and jump 32 on-screen buses, much like the original. However, unlike the original, this came with color graphics, making it an even bigger upgrade. The Atari version of this wasn't the only one released, however. Sears would release its own variant on this called Motocross Sports Center 4. This included the same games as the Atari one, but it also included 16 Pong-style games played with detachable Pong controllers that were included with it. A weird addition, but not unwelcome. This actually did so well that they were initially going to bring it to the Atari 2600 itself. But by that time, Evel Knievel was a bit out of the loop, so they were going to do a TV tie-in game. Dukes of Hazzard. I know, sounds like a good fit, right? However, that conversion actually never made it much past the prototype stage, leaving this game primarily in the domain of the individual home console and the arcade. It wouldn't be till around 2003 that Bob Florero, the man behind the port of the game, would independently release 50 copies of Stunt Cycle for the public, making this likely one of the rarest games in the Atari 2600 library. However, what do you think of this one? Did any of you ever actually play Stunt Cycle in the arcade? Did you ever own the home console version? And if so, what did you think of it? Would you have liked to actually seen the Dukes of Hazzard version come out? Let me know in the comments. However, I'd like to take a moment to thank those of you who got this far in the video, and ask you for one last favor if you could. Leave this video a like, and if you haven't, consider subscribing. That's assuming you're not already. However, thanks for spending part of your day with me once again, and until next time, happy gaming.